Do you want to get better at CAIT SITH in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Well, luckily we have for you here a full complete combat guide that will have you playing like a pro in no time. And do tell us what you think of this character by the end of the video. CAIT SITH's main mechanic is being able to summon a Moogle, which he's able to fight on or with. He will also have to use this Moogle to access some of his more powerful abilities, and a lot of moves have an RNG element to them, granting you a variety of buffs or other powerful effects. With so many options and a big mix of RNG, CAIT SITH can be quite confusing, but luckily he packs a real punch, making him very worth having around. Since CAIT SITH can be in 3 different states in combat, in his solo mode, with his Moogle, and then off of his Moogle, let's go through each of them. You will initially start on the battlefield solo without the Moogle, but CAIT SITH by himself is actually very capable as he gets access to his 5 basic attack combo, which is a flurry of attacks, with each hit building ATB quite well, but because it's a fast flurry it can be difficult to cancel into guarding. Holding square however will produce a magical circle that will constantly deal damage around him and even juggle smaller enemies into the air. Using his triangle unique attack will do his Kitty Wallop, which is a series of hits that will do substantially more damage than his basic combo, so definitely try weaving this in where you can. After dodging with the circle button, you can then spam square repeatedly to send out 4 magical shots that will home in on their targets and bounce to additional enemies nearby, making it a great option for taking out a large group of enemies or aerial targets. While all of this is decent, playing as a solo CAIT SITH is something you are usually going to try and avoid because he becomes much more capable and less vulnerable when his Moogle is summoned. Not only does the Moogle need to be out for CAIT SITH to have access to certain abilities and his limit break, but it also allows you to access his own unique mechanic of building up a bar called the Moogle meter, which activates on a triangle attack and is built up when the Moogle attacks enemies. The bar has 3 levels, and level 1 will do a dropkick. Level 2 will grant a buff such as Go Wild, which will give the whole party Berserk, or Defense, granting Protect and Shell, or Fight, which grants offensive buffs to the party in the form of Bravery and Faith. What makes this level 2 one pretty powerful is that you don't need to use MP to cast it, and you earn it passively while fighting, so it's a great way to buff your entire team without any MP cost. His level 3 however will do a massive attack and also debuff the enemy in a variety of different ways, which you can tell by the different names. From our testing, it seems like the moves you can do can apply 2 different levels of debuff, with one being a worse version and one being a better version, such as Stop Strike applying either slow or stop, so you'll need some good luck to get the better debuff. The great thing about the Moogle is that it's able to fight by itself, and it will actually draw aggro, allowing you to fight as CAIT SITH without having to worry too much about getting hit. While fighting by itself, it will also build up the bar, making this one of the most powerful states to be in as CAIT SITH, as he can take down some of the most powerful enemies while they're distracted by the Moogle. To summon the Moogle, you need to do the Let's Ride ability, which will cost an ATB bar and will damage nearby enemies, so factor this into your fights. It's important to note that when riding the Moogle, you are unable to dodge, as this will cause you to actually dismount the Moogle, allowing you to fight separately. While the Moogle is out on the field and CAIT SITH isn't mounted, you can quickly summon the Moogle to you and then mount it wherever you are by pressing the triangle button, which is a great way to have your Moogle avoid taking damage as an enemy is about to hit him. While you are mounted on the Moogle, your moveset will change again and become very powerful. The Moogle will attack the same thing that you're targeting while mounted, and this will cause an increase in damage and the ATB bar to fill more quickly. While you're mounted, CAIT SITH's basic attack combo can be spammed by repeatedly pressing the square button, but now that combines both the Moogle and CAIT SITH's attack at range, which will send out magical sound waves, which will function the same as the solo dodge combo, but this time you can do it on the move, and while in melee distance it will cause a short ranged burst. If you hold down the square button though, this will cause CAIT SITH and the Moogle to roll forwards quickly, causing you to gap close onto your enemy and do a series of spins which will do a ton of stagger damage. This is one of CAIT SITH's better moves and something that you should use a lot when you're mounted. A great tip is that you can use this to send your Moogle to target a specific enemy by summoning your Moogle, mounting it, holding square and then dodging off. Something that can get confusing is that you may think you're able to fully control the Moogle when mounted, but it will actually still act by itself. We've found from our experience that you will want to fill the Moogle meter the fastest you can by either repeatedly drop-kicking the target, or if you instead don't spam the basic combo, it will attack by itself and rapidly fill the gauge, allowing you to get those juicy buffs off quickly. The great thing about being mounted is that CAIT SITH himself can perform abilities and spells while the Moogle itself is still moving and attacking, making riding the Moogle quite powerful so long as you're not in danger. This can be a lot to take in, but the main thing you want to focus on is managing your Moogle and being dynamic both on and off of it, because you will benefit greatly in some fights when you're off your Moogle and it's drawing aggro for you, allowing you to do powerful things from a distance like using spells. Meanwhile, in other fights, you might want to be on the Moogle to rack up damage as quick as possible, like with this hold down square combo. For CAIT Sith's synergy skills, he has the all-out assault, which will cause him and his partner to quickly lunge at a target, and this will fill the ATB bar and do some damage. He also has the magic megaphone, and this causes a party member to attack enemies at your command, and it's very spammable. A tip for this one is that you can continuously spam this against aerial targets, making it very useful as the partner will just teleport next to the enemy and attack. Then there's Bodyguard, which is a defensive synergy skill that will have a partner take a guarding stance with Sith, and getting hit during this will rapidly fill the ATB gauge. And then we have CAIT Sith's abilities, which feature some very interesting ones, and some of them can be quite OP, such as granting limit break to everyone in your party, but with many of them being more RNG based or timing focused, you will have to push these in the right direction and get used to them with practice. Of course, there's the Let's Ride ability that allows you to summon your Moogle, and every time you use this, it will be summoned back to full health. This goes hand in hand with your Moogle meter, as even if your Moogle dies, it will retain the charge from the meter, making it easier to get those buffs off in longer fights. Then there's the Dodge and Dive ability, and this is an evasion focused move similar to Tifa's Focus Strike, and it will refund some of the ATB if you pull it off, but something to be aware of is that this will get rid of the Moogle if done correctly, but it does deal a ton of damage as well. And then we have Roll of the Dice, which will result in various effects depending on which number appears, and this is one of CAIT Sith's RNG abilities. It has 6 different outcomes based on the result of the dice. Getting number 1 will do a Fire and Thunder spell. Getting number 2 will do a Hyper Beam, and from everything that we can tell, this seems like a single bubble attack that looks pretty bad to be honest. Number 3 will do Arrow and Blizzard. Number 4 will grant Fury, which speeds up the rate in which you increase your limit break, but also increases damage taken. Number 5 will grant regen to the whole party, and number 6 will grant a shield to the whole party. Number 1 seems to do the most damage from our testing, and a quick tip is that you're able to physically knock around the dice to try and manipulate the number result that you can get. So because it's a physical object in the world and you can run into it, you can kind of dictate what number you get with a little bit of luck. You should definitely try this out because it's pretty fun and cool to do in an actual battle. And then there's Fortune Telling, which says it deals damage great or small, or perhaps just gets your fortune told. This is a punch that will hone in on the target for massive damage or a small amount of damage, but generally it looks like the DPS of this move is pretty good overall, so we do recommend using it. It does say in the description that you can get your fortune told, but we haven't had this occurred yet, so it might just be flavor text. And then we have Moogle Kaboom, which literally turns your Moogle into a ticking time bomb that will explode when it leaves combat. This is an awesome move for taking out groups of enemies and does cause a large chunk of stagger damage. A great tip for this one is that you can use it in combination with Dodge and Dive to trigger the explosion manually, causing massive damage. You also have Moogle Mine, which will cause the Moogle to scatter landmines all around him that explode upon contact with an enemy. It deals moderate stagger damage, and this is a bit of a weird one to use but does work pretty well on larger enemies that move around the field a lot, and is particularly good on pressured enemies to increase that stagger damage. Moogle Magic is the next ability that will actually summon your currently equipped summon to do a single move. You can only use this when riding the Moogle during battles in which summons are available. The cooldown will increase with each use of this, and this is actually a really cool ability that allows you to use a single summons ability at the small cost of 1 ATB bar. The ability that the summon will actually do is random, so it could be the 2 cost or the 1 cost ability, but overall you should make sure you pick your summons wisely for which one you have equipped on CAIT Sith. Next up is the Moogle Knuckle, which will use the Moogle to deliver a fistful of pain. This would also increase the stagger damage bonus, making it one of CAIT Sith's more impressive abilities while mounted. The punch deals okay damage, but the massive stagger damage bonus is what makes it super useful. Definitely use this on a staggered enemy to see some big damage numbers. Then we have Lady Luck, which will call upon the Goddess of Fortune to temporarily increase the critical rate for all allies. This is another awesome skill, and it's one of the rare skills in the game that will actually increase the whole party's crit rate, so try to use this and keep it up as much as possible. And then we have another move similar to the dice skill. This is the Lucky Slots ability, which actually has some pretty dynamic results, and you have more control over this one. You just need to get the timing correct. Getting 3 of a particular slot will grant you some very powerful outcomes, such as free limit breaks, dropping items on enemies to do a bunch of damage, and more, so here's what you can get. The 3 stars will give a chunk of limit break to your whole party, which is often enough to fill it completely, as well as a limit level up. This makes it extremely powerful for only costing 2 ATBs. The 3 crowns will drop a bunch of crowns on enemies, with each one dealing a good chunk of damage. The 3 bars will deal a massive stagger damage explosion, while the 3 hearts will grant resist and re-raise to the whole party, making it very powerful, and remember, resist means you can't be debuffed. The 3 Moogles, however, will spawn the OG Final Fantasy VII CAIT SITH's Moogle Soldier that will then deal damage to enemies. So with these, you can see how crazy powerful this character's abilities can get. If you're wondering about some materia that you should use on CAIT SITH, we have a few suggestions for you to improve your build. His ATB gain can be a bit of an issue, so things like Skill Master, First Strike, and ATB Boost will be pretty huge. ATB is very important for CAIT SITH as it allows you to summon your Moogle at the start of a fight, to then start doing your other abilities that require the Moogle, so you need several ATB to get going, and this is where First Strike will be very useful. For your weapons, we recommend using the Golden Megaphone and Galahorn, as they both have the full materia slots at weapon level 7 to 8, which is where majority of players will probably end up being. If you have a higher party level, you might want to consider the other ones, as they will gain additional materia slots as you level them up. For example, the Crystal Megaphone becomes one of the more viable options for magic once you reach weapon level 8, as it gets those extra materia slots and has some very good weapon skills that synergize with magic. Share any extra tips you have for CAIT SITH down below so we can all learn together as a community, and subscribe for more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming your way soon.